welcome to Stacy's Homestead, and today we're going to be making some delicious pumpkin bread. So I have a couple cups of my pumpkin from my garden harvest last year. So I had it in the freezer and I defrosted it and it's ready to go. And then I got everything pre-prepped, so I'll bring you in for a close-up and we'll get started. Alright y'all, so we have 3.5 cups of all-purpose flour. I used the organic unbleached all-purpose flour. You can use whatever you want. You're going to need 2 teaspoons of baking soda, which I've already added in. So that's added already. And you want to add all your dry ingredients first, so we can stir those up in here and mix it in properly before we add your wet. So the other dry ingredients is we're going to need a tablespoon of cinnamon, a tablespoon of nutmeg, a tablespoon of ginger, a 1/4 tablespoon of clove, or if you have all that combined in a pumpkin spice, you can do 2 or 3 tablespoons of that. I actually have, I'm going to be using this clove, and I have homemade ginger powder I've made and ground up. I have a apple pie spice that has the cinnamon, nutmeg, and allspice in it already, so I'm just going to add a couple of tablespoons out of here. I'll probably do 3 tablespoons out of here, 1 for each ingredient. So let's get our dry ingredients added. Let's get our tablespoon measurements. Okay. You can lessen and go to a teaspoon if you like, but I like, you know, the spicy flavor, so we got, let me bring this in over here. Let's move our pie. We have these bread pans here we're going to be using. I'll move them over here real fast. That way you can bring the bowl in. Alright, so we got 1 tablespoon of the nutmeg, because this is nutmeg, cinnamon, allspice, so I'll just name it. 1 tablespoon of nutmeg, 1 tablespoon of the cinnamon, and 1 tablespoon of the allspice is in here. There. Alright, so we got that covered. All 3 of those are in here. So that's why I did 3 out of the same bottle. Now we got the ginger. My homemade ginger. 1 tablespoon of the ginger, which is really good stuff. And then the clove. We got 1/4 of the clove, so there's a 1/4. Clove can be strong. I like to do a little rounded 1/4 because I like the clove flavor. You can add more or less of any of these. This is for your taste, but that's what you'll need. Now let's do some salt. We're gonna need I think a tablespoon or so of salt. Let me look at my ingredient here. Oh yeah, 1.5 teaspoons of salt. I have my little ingredient card here that I wrote down a long time ago. So 1.5 teaspoons of salt. I usually don't use measuring things, but I'm doing it for y'all. 1.5. Here's a half of salt, and I'm using pink Himalaya salt. It's my favorite, but you can use whatever salt you want. Alright, we got that in there. Now we're gonna mix. This is all of our dry ingredients so far. Let's mix it up real good before we add our sugars. We're gonna have sugar here, and the sugar is going to be let's see whatever I can remember. remember. Where's my sugar? Oh, here we go. 3 cups of sugar. So I like it's the recipe that was given to me from my grandma calls for regular just sugar, but I like to put brown sugar in it too. So we're gonna do 1 cup of brown sugar and then 2 cups of regular sugar, because I just love the flavor of the brown sugar that it gives it. Now that your sugar, make sure it says pure cane sugar, because if it does not say pure cane on there and it only just says sugar, then it's from beets, and those are beetroots, and those are genetically modified. You don't want genetically modified sugars, right? So just make sure it says pure cane sugar, and then you know it's strictly pure cane. Okay, so we got the 1 cup of brown sugar and 2 cups of white sugar. There we go, 2 cups of white sugar in there, in that little stuff here. And let's mix our dry ingredients real good so we get it all incorporated evenly before we add our wet ingredients here. I have a couple of hard brown sugar pieces in here. Now you can you need an oil, any type of fat or oil. So some people use Crisco, or it's whatever, coconut oil, whatever oil you choose to use. We're gonna need 1 cup of that. So I just have, I'm using an olive oil, a refined olive oil from Costco. That's what I'm using. And half of that with half of coconut oil, because I like the taste of the coconut in this, but not too much. And you can do like half butter with half oil, whatever you want. Oh, that's a really hard brown sugar piece. All right, so got all these hard pieces. I forgot to crush up the bag a little bit better. Okay, this smells really good. I love the smell of pumpkin pie spices. All right, got that mixed up. Now make sure you got all your dry ingredients all mixed in, and then we can start adding our wet ingredients. So we have 4 eggs. You can do 3 large eggs, but I have, or 4. If you only have 3, then that's fine. You just have to add a little more fluid. So, but I have 4 eggs in here, and I already cracked them. So we're gonna put them all in here. I like to clean my bowls good here. All right, and then I have my 2 cups of pumpkin from my garden I grew. And this has a little bit of seasoning in it too. When I prepare this, I always add a little bit of seasoning. So when I put it in the freezer bags, I like to put mine in freezer bags. Sorry, I needed to get a thingy to, what is this called? I forget. I needed to get this thingy. So, all right, got that in here. So this is your pumpkin. You can use canned pumpkin too. Just 2 cups. Okay. But this is my fresh pumpkin from my garden. I love growing pumpkin. All right, so we got those in. What other wet ingredients do we need? We're gonna need our oil. So let's pour oil. I already got my oil all ready here. Get that oil in. Okay. Put that right here to be washed up. And then we're gonna need some milk or water. So you're gonna do 2/3 cup milk or water. So, but I like to eyeball it. So I'm gonna stir this in first. The ingredients say 2/3 cup, but sometimes depending on the moisture in your air, you know, the humidity, that you're gonna need more or less of fluid, you know. So let's just start stirring this up, and then I just will eyeball the milk. I usually use buttermilk. I'm doing low on buttermilk though. I'll put a little bit of milk. Let me get some buttermilk too. I like that. I'm back. Okay, so I got my buttermilk, and this has a lot of the whey or hooch on top of it. I need to actually make new buttermilk, so I'm going to keep this out to make new buttermilk. And I'll just do that one real fast. Just to make some new buttermilk. I'm going to pour off the whey on top, or the hooch. Some people call it hooch. So, okay, I poured off some of my buttermilk whey on the top, or the hooch part. We're going to add a little bit of buttermilk here. There we go. Add a little, just a couple of spoons of buttermilk. I gotta make new buttermilk, so this is gotten a little chunky. That's okay. And how I make new buttermilk is I just add milk to it, you know. Or just add a little milk to it and then let it sit on the counter, and I'll turn to buttermilk. So I just keep my buttermilk going and going and going. Going and going and going, like the Energizer bunny. Okay. So we got that buttermilk in there. Let's just stir this in. Keep your water, milk handy, and just add a little bit in at a time if you want, or you can just go ahead and dump the 2/3 in that it calls for. And if you end up with too much, too liquidy, too much milk in there, you just add a little bit extra flour. But you want it to be, you know, like a cake batter. And it's perfect, I think. I think we did a perfect job here. Oh, it's got some at the bottom. And I use a hand blender here with my hand, my whisker, because I like to do it like that. Alright, and that should be it. I'm gonna taste it. Tastes good. I like to taste it just to make sure I got everything. Doesn't need any extra. It might need a little extra cinnamon. Let's put extra cinnamon in. I have cinnamon that's separate. I think it needs a little more cinnamon. So I have cinnamon powder. There we go. There we go. Whatever spices you think it needs, add more of that. Okay, let's put these in our cake pan. Make sure your, not cake pan, your bread pan, you can use a cake pan too, I guess, is nice and floured and buttered on the inside to prevent sticking. Alright. And we're going to go ahead and pour these in our pan. Now you can go and start preheating your oven to 350 degrees. I have a toaster oven because my oven's broke. So I'm going to start that to 350, and you're going to bake this for an hour. So it's going to bake on 350 for an hour. Let me put this sugar away, out of my way real fast. Okay, so let's get this in our cake pans. I got a little extra flour in here. That's okay. All right, we're gonna pour this in these cake pans here. Or I keep on saying cake pans, bread pans. All right, we're gonna do half in here. And my son loves this for breakfast on Thanksgiving morning. He loves it because while I'm cooking, I have this ready and just give this to everyone for breakfast with some butter. It's an easy Thanksgiving breakfast to have while you're concentrating on cooking all the other good stuff. Alright, make sure it's try to get it even in each one. And I'll give that to my my son to lick. He'll like to lick the spoon. And then I get your thingamabob. I forget what this is called. I know what it's called. I just call it a thingamabob for now. And mine's bent from the hotness of the dishwasher. I have other ones. I just can't find them at the moment. You know, when that happens, you try to think of a word and you can't think of it, and then all of a sudden, maybe a day later, it just pops in your head. That's gonna happen to me. Or even an hour later, you're like, that's the word. That'll be happening to me. All right, so that's all done with that. Alrighty, so we're gonna put those in the oven at 350 degrees for 1 hour. Alrighty, y'all, so while we're waiting for that pumpkin bread to cook off, we're gonna make a frosting, and it's gonna be a cream cheese frosting. So I'll bring you in for a closer look. We're gonna need a box of powdered sugar, 1 cube of butter, and 1 8-ounce package of cream cheese. Now, I have the butter and cream cheese already combined, and I nuked them in the microwave just for a little bit to soften it up. So I've got the butter and the cream cheese in here softened up, and we're going to mix them together. Real good. Okay, now we're going to add our vanilla. And it's just a couple teaspoons, like 2 teaspoons, so I'm just going to eyeball it. You can measure it. I'm just going to eyeball it. So 2 teaspoons of vanilla. And butter there. That's stuck. Alright, let's... Got a piece of butter that needs to blend. There we go. Alright, so we're going to add in our box of sugar, and it says to add a whole box, but I'll just go until I think the consistency is good. So I like to add a little at a time. We'll sift this in through here. This is my sifter. I don't have one. Sift it as much as I can without a sifter. Stir that in. That's looking good. Tastes good. We put a little bit more. That's about half a box. A little bit more than half a box. that'll be good. Yeah, that's good. Alright, so our frosting is ready to go. Alrighty, so we're done with our frosting, and when the pumpkin bread's taken out and it cools down but still a little bit warm, we'll add it on there. And then you could use any other kind of frosting of your choosing, but this is the one I like. It goes good on carrot cakes and stuff like that. So, alright, when it comes out, we'll pour it on. Okie dokie, the timer went off and they're ready to go. So what I do is I take a knife or a toothpick or something and I put it in there, and if it comes clean, then it's all done. So it came clean and it's all done. So for like the last 15 minutes or so of your hour that you're cooking, you want to keep an eye on it, because sometimes they could just cook faster. So, and trust your nose. It smells good. Alright, let's take this one out. They look really delicious. And we're going to let those cool down just a bit before we add our icing to it. So put it right here. We're going to let it cool down for about a half hour, and then we'll add our icing. Alrighty, y'all, so we have our pumpkin bread all cooled down, and we're going to take one of the loaves, and I'm going to put icing on one of them and save one with no icing. So my son loves a presentation. He calls it fancy. He likes our Thanksgiving or even just regular dinners all fancy. So I'm going to do that for him. We're going to score the line of the pan score the line of the bread with the knife. That way it'll come out clean. Just to make sure it'll come out clean here. And the bread is still a little bit warm. It looks really pretty. It smells so good. Let's see if we can get this mofo out of here. Ugh. It again. We're going to score this cake pan with a knife to help release the bread. Hopefully it comes out nice and pretty. There. Alright. So it in. There we go. Oh yeah, it came out nice and clean. There. That tastes good. Eat the crumbs. Very delicious. Alright. Okay, so we have our nice fancy presentation here. And then we're going to put the icing on the bread. I'm just going to do a little bit at a time. I don't know if I like this thingamajigger. I still can't think of the name. I'm going to get my other one. Just get a knife or a spoon. I'm going to get a spoon. Real good. I just get a spoon here and do it. Yeah, that's easier for me. left over, and I'm going to save that because my son always asks for extra after I cut it. So I'm going to save it to put a little extra on each piece for him. But I'm just going to put this on the top right here, just like so. I don't really do the sides because it just drips anyways. There, and that's nice and pretty. And I have about this much left, and you can use it for other things. It's enough for 2 of them and some extra, but I'll use it for other things. Take this one. I'm gonna also we're gonna ready this one. So I like to do one with icing and one without because I have some of my kids don't like the cream cheese frosting. They'd rather have it plain. But this turned out really good. Super delicious. I don't want to cut into it yet, but take a little piece off the top. It's really good. And you would make any other types of bread with this. You can put banana. This is the same way how you make banana bread. So, carrot cake. Same thing. Carrot bread. You just substitute your fruits. So instead of pumpkin, you do carrots, and then instead of carrots, you would do banana. And then I don't put nuts in, but most people put nuts in. I like nuts, but my family doesn't. So, and there you go. That's how you make pumpkin bread. Okie dokie. We'll talk to you later. Bye bye.